Okay, so what is going on, guys? It is Domino, and welcome back, and welcome to the first kind of episode of my gun request series. Now, this particular request you guys are seeing in this gameplay is the LSAT with the variable zoom, and this was requested or recommended to me by Captain Cooper. A link to his channel can be found in the description below, and he basically makes Call of Duty commentaries as well, uses a wide range of weapons. You never know, go check him out, he might be your cup of tea. But in this particular gameplay, we're using the LSAT with the variable zoom, as I said, and we're playing some Hardpoint on Carrier. And that brings me to my first tip when using this weapon. You want to make sure you're playing the right game mode. Now, what I found out playing, years of Call of Duty experience is that when you're not using the right when playing the right game mode with the light machine gun setup, you will struggle immensely. And I would recommend playing things like Hardpoint, Headquarters, Domination, simply objective-based game modes, rather than game modes like Team Deathmatch and Free For All, which rely a lot more on kind of reactions and gun skill, awareness, rather than positioning and more kind of intelligent gameplay. And that's what made this gameplay possible. So some general tips when using light machine guns. You pretty much want to be around the objective at all times, providing, suppressive fire. You've got that 100 round clip, you can just lay down rounds, support your team, and just hold down the objective. And I think in this particular gameplay, I do a pretty good job of that. So now let's move on to the variable zoom, and the variable zoom is pretty much makes this gun a sniper. It makes it a fully automatic sniper, I believe, and there's some instances in this gameplay where I will pretty much go fully automatic at what can only be considered a sniper range, and you guys are going to see that. Now and again with this kind of setup, you want to learn to burst fire, and burst firing is something which I picked up in World at War simply because the guns had a lot more recoil back then than they do now. But even nowadays, you're going to get into those engagements which are really far away. And surprisingly, this setup is very good. Although Call of Duty is primarily a fast-paced, close quarters engagements for the most part, this setup can cater to all your needs. Sometimes you don't want to get in those positions where you have to rely on hip fire because it's kind of dangerous with this gun. You guys are going to see a couple of examples in this gameplay, and I'm going to point them out to you. I think there's one coming up any minute. But basically, I get in some situations where I don't want to be in that gunfight, and I want to try and make the gunfight as unfair as possible. And I think that's why LMGs shine on Carrier, because there's so many kind of, I want to say head glitch spots, but at the same time I just want to consider it using cover, because you would use cover. And I kind of position myself in decent areas, always around the objective, you guys can see here. Now this is going to be my first mistake with this setup, and you guys should learn from this. You're going to see a guy pop up on my left in a minute, and no one should get that close to me. Now I don't know if that was because I wasn't aware that they were going to come from that side, or whatever. The fact is that guy should not have been that close to me when I've got a light machine gun, because you pretty much never want to be hip firing with light machine guns. And you're going to see another example in a second. The hard point has moved on, but I'm kind of still stuck. I get very lucky with that guy. I have to kind of jump shot to get out of there, but I managed to kill him. Obviously these guys weren't the best players, but overall this setup's very good, and I would definitely recommend giving it a go. In terms of perks which kind of aid this setup, I would primarily recommend flak jacket and tactical mask. Obviously I think the rest are kind of personal preference, but when you're using flak jacket and tactical mask, you're always going to be on the objective. It's always going to benefit you. The flashbangs, the stuns, frag grenades, semtexes, they're all going to be thrown at you. And because you don't have that mobility, which the submachine guns do, you can't really get away from grenades. I mean, how many times in this game has a grenade rolled towards you and you just couldn't get away simply because you lacked mobility? And that's a problem I have. And do you guys see that long range kill there? Practically a sniper. Don't be afraid to hold down the trigger with this gun, simply because guns are monsters. The LMGs are monsters in this game, and they will just rip through anything, however far away it is. But yeah, it's a decent setup to use. As I said, perks, it's kind of up to you really. Toughness, it could be a viable option, simply because you just don't want to get kicked up with this gun. But in my opinion, flat jacket and tactical mask are by far the best. I don't think I'm using it in this gameplay simply because I'm prestiging, and I kind of don't have access to all the things when I'm prestiging. But yeah, it's a fun setup to use. I thought it was going to be a little bit tricky. As I said, a lot of the engagements in this game are close range, so it can be kind of tricky using this kind of sight. But it's very fun, it's very accurate, it's very, pinpoint and straight to the enemy. And, with, I think I'm using stock as well this game, so I can do things like this. I can just kind of casually just move around and just picking off enemies. So yeah, give it a go, you never know, you might like it. And one more big tip I can give with this kind of setup is make sure you've got your killstreaks right. And I think this game I do a pretty good job of using killstreaks. I believe I'm using the stealth chopper, the escort drone, and the warhog. Which is kind of, you guys can probably see a pattern with that, and I was going in this game, I was going for complete aerial dominance, just control the skies every second, and I do a pretty good job with that. Now, the main reason for that is because the escort drone is kind of a personal bodyguard, the same with the stealth chopper, and as I was talking about before about positioning, when people get too close to you, you can have a problem when using this particular setup. So what I like to do is control the skies and make sure that no one ever gets that close to me. And I think there's a few times in this gameplay where people have got close, but the escort drone's just taken them out, or the stealth chopper. And yeah, I think it's a very, very good setup. You may alternatively want to use the UAV if you want to tone down your streaks a little bit. But I was playing with a party this game, so obviously I don't need to worry too much about VSATs and UAVs and stuff. But yeah, it was a pretty good game. This was the first game I used this setup, and I was actually surprised how quick I got it. But yeah, I'm quite enjoying doing this series. If you guys have any more requests, I would love if you left a comment, just telling me a gun you want to see, maybe a game mode, or whatever you want to see. Just let me know and I will try and do it. In the next kind of episode, we're going to be covering the Vector with the fast mag. That was requested by 2 people, and yeah, I'm just going to try and get a gameplay with that pretty soon. But yeah, anything you guys want to see from me, just let me know in the comment section, and maybe you can get a request featured. If it's a good setup you want to use, that's okay. I think this is a good setup. If it's a bad setup, I will try that as well, even if it is the M1216 shotgun, because that gun is a horror show. But yeah, guys, it's been Domino. This is a 76-1 gameplay. I was quite proud of it. Complete aerial dominance throughout the game. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I will see you next time. Thank you for watching the video, and if you could, please give it a rating. Thank you. Peace.